this is like a big Lion's Portal energy, like Cyrus energy time right now. It began like the 24th or 26th, it's going to go. And so like the 24th or 26th of next month. But 8/8, August 8th is going to be a big peak for that energy. So for anyone during this time, grounding is going to be really important to help ground all those astrological energies that are coming in right now. So lots of downloads, lots of upgrades, and yeah, so eat healthy and get grounded, get outside as much as you can.
Good. Oh, thank you. Yeah, that's true. That's
Yeah.
coming up soon.
Okay. Well, my big thing on my journey was shadow work and working with the aspects of myself that, we all have aspects of ourselves that we discard mainly because of conditioning and social programming and stuff. So a big part of my journey has been to uncover and reveal those things. And I think any one of us on our journey, at different points as we move through, the metamorphosis of kind of evolving to different levels, we find that the places that we were, right, or the people that we were around, we see them in a different perspective, in a different light. And we realize sometimes how not naive, but each level we look back at parts of ourselves and we're like, oh yeah, we were closed-minded then, or naive, or and we see that how unconscious we were and the people we were around. When we see those people, we can kind of say, oh, the unconscious is really not so much manipulating, but controlling their perspectives and viewpoints and way of life. And so each time we move forward, we kind of see that a little bit in others, where people aren't ready to move forward, and they end up getting controlled by society, or by the game, or by manipulators, or by narcissists, or by relationships, or we see that all around us. And the hugest part, you were talking about, conscious parenting and just the underlying emotions and things and emotional intelligence. If we're unaware of all of those aspects of ourselves, then we really are kind of being controlled by the unseen realms within us, right? And so the idea is to make them seen, to make them conscious, so we can make conscious choices instead of just kind of going with the flow, or going with the sheep, or going with the herd, because we don't understand the choices,
Yeah. Or taking the easy way out, maybe. Like I made a post this morning about, it was a little bit about that, about the unconscious, but the topic was mainly like spanking. And without getting into the, right or wrong aspect of it, I was saying how I find, for me, spanking is a little bit of a lazy tool. So here's how I explained it. I said, say your kid is jumping on the couch and you told them like 15 times to stop jumping on the couch. All right. Now, you could go the like lazy route, like get the kid off and spank him, and now you'll understand why you don't go on the couch. Or you could go like digging and ask yourself, all right, why is this kid not listening to me right now? All right, maybe the kid needs to move. Maybe the kid is tired and like less cooperative when they're tired. Maybe you haven't earned their respect and they really don't give a shit about what you say, So it could be, a lot of things.
Yeah.
But the point is, make the effort to dig and to look into what is happening below the surface. And then you can respond from a place of understanding. Now you have the tool of knowledge, right? You have, oh, it's because they haven't moved all day. Let me get them to a park. Hey, buddy, how does it sound to go jump in the park? Great. Awesome. Let's go. Right? So just get off this couch. We're going to the park now. Don't have to ask permission, but just saying, instead of just going, just like, all right, that's it.
Yeah.
From a place of reactivity. So this I apply to adults in our own life.
Mhm.
You know, it's the same. It's I'm behaving a certain way. For example, I have a gambling addiction. Okay, let's say. So I can keep on
Why?
gambling.
Right. Where
Yeah.
does it come
Or,
from?
right, I can ask myself these questions. Or, you know, I could suffer severe consequences, right? Where does all of this come from? Why am I doing this? So I, you know, and I love that you share that with me, that Carl Jung quote, which says something like, until we make the unconscious conscious, it will control us, right? So until we understand why we behave in the way that we do, we will keep on doing it because that thing that controls our behavior, we'll keep on controlling it until we
Yeah.
disarm it, right?
Mhm.
And so I find it's such a important tool to know in your life, to just know how to do that work. And so you can call it, you know, it could be shadow work. It could also be, you know, looking into limiting beliefs, conditioning. It's basically being self-aware. And
Yeah.
so I'm huge on self-awareness because like the quote says, if we are not aware of the things that makes us, you know, do the things
Think
we
and
do,
move. Yeah.
then it will continue to control us. And the outcomes, guess what, will be the same, right?
Yeah.
Nothing will change if you keep doing the same thing. So, yeah, all this to say, I really value the importance of self-awareness. I think it's huge. And so as, you know, as a parent, I want to be self-aware because if I'm triggered, I want to know why. And I also
Mhm.
be aware and connected to my child to understand why they're behaving the way that they are. Not just labeling them as, you know, bad or, you know, a
Mhm.
difficult child. No, I want to know why they're behaving this way so that I can go and address the root cause. And so it's the same with any other relationship. You know,
Yeah.
take it to like a relationship, like a spouse, you know, they're behaving in a certain way or they're talking to you in a certain way. Well, why is that? Always remaining curious, I think, and increasing your self-awareness is just such an important tool in life, right? It's not
Absolutely.
something we usually are taught, but it is
Yeah.
something that if we do want to improve our relationship with ourselves, with our family, and other people, you know, in general,
Yeah.
I feel like you have to do that.
Yeah. Curiosity is huge. And I don't want to say the world today, but the world in the past has really suppressed curiosity or free thinking. And I think that's what's gotten us into the, like you said, the spanking or the quick solving. And then where does that lead us? It doesn't lead us anywhere because we don't understand ourselves, we don't understand others, we don't understand the problem. And then it's just going to snowball and it's going to keep happening until we are made aware of it, until we look at it from, like you said, that curious perspective. And then we can go deeper within, get to the root cause, right? And then once you see that, it kind of, I don't want to say solves everything, but it really allows you to see the perspective from a expanded awareness. And like you said, so maybe, yeah, the jumping on the couch, maybe it was something like they just really needed attention. And that was how they learned, you know,
Hmm.
from the past. That's how I get mommy's attention. And it's, I really,
Yeah.
really just want her attention.
Yeah.
Or it's like, yeah, they have an exuberant amount of energy and they just need to go out and ground out in the
Hmm.
park. Like you said, there could be so many reasons. And why look or label it as good or bad? Why,
Yeah. That's
who are
it.
we to say, well, I'm going to spank you because what you're doing is bad? Understanding, yeah, the couch is a physical object. It can be destroyed. It's just a thing,
Right.
so it's like
Right.
we're labeling it as good or bad too. And then that too, ask ourselves, why are we labeling what they're doing? Why are we
Hmm.
not letting them self-explore? As long as it doesn't hurt themselves or others,
Right.
keeping that curiosity within their reality, within their self-awareness, within their toolbox is huge too. So we're so taught to not only stifle or suppress it within ourselves
Hmm.
with society, but we're being taught as parents, or we're taught as parents
Right.
to suppress it in our children as well. So we're working for the matrix.
Hmm.
We're again conditioned as parents. If you're not conscious parenting, you're just doing what the mainstream is doing, and you're doing exactly what they want you to do to stay mindless and like sheep and like flock. And then you're just generationally passing that on to your children. So to really change the future, we have to be conscious parents. Like you just said, we have to make it conscious and then teach that consciousness to our children.
Yeah,
Absolutely. To
very good
change
point.
the
Mhm.
future. Yeah.
Totally. That would look like, I'm thinking that would look like maybe after the fact or that evening. I notice you love to jump on the couch. What is it about it that you love so much, right? Oh, it's the bounciness of it. Oh, how
Yeah.
about we go to that trampoline place? You know what I mean? So,
Yeah.
okay, let's find ways. How about we put a mountain of pillows on the floor and we jump on
Yeah.
that?
Yeah.
Whatever.
Instead,
Try to
yeah.
find, try to understand. I feel like so much is lost when we don't try to understand other people. And that
Mhm.
comes, yes, with like conscious parenting, but also everything else, right? We're just
Oh,
so
yeah.
quick to judge people.
Coworkers, relationships. We take that persona into every relationship and aspect of our life.
Yeah. So we
So
see
if we,
behavior and we put a
Mhm.
label. That's what we do,
Yeah.
right? We
Yeah.
see what somebody does or how they dress or what music they listen to, and then we're going to put a label on that. And
Instant.
depending
Yeah.
on what we think, it's either good or it's bad.
Yeah.
And all of this, like you said, it's kind of like all is part of the matrix. So
Mhm.
it's not necessarily you deeply that feel all that. It's really how you've been conditioned to see the world.
Yeah.
So even that's really a huge mindset shift, I think, because, when you understand that every single label you place doesn't necessarily really come from you, it comes from
Yes.
somebody else, and like,
Absolutely.
oh, well, is this label mine or do I really believe this?
Yeah.
How do I know that this is true? Right.
Yeah.
So again, just the power and questioning everything and to, yeah, stop. Yeah, I feel like it's stop automatic behavior.
Yes. It's so easy to, again, because we have been sitting in that habitual programming or that habitual way of thinking for so long, it's really hard to turn it off. So noticing it when it arises, oh, I am making a judgment or I'm making a label. And that label, that judgment is making me feel this way. It's not
Mhm.
that that's my true core belief, but it's the fact that it's my perspective that is creating this disease within me. So if I can just switch my perspective, then you actually don't allow your brain to send those chemical ions to your body to create that emotion, So it's like, where is it really coming? Is it coming from your truth in your gut? Or is it a conditioned response? So emotional intelligence is really huge as a part of self-awareness, because then you start to regulate and be curious about where your emotions are coming from.
There's also, I think, I'm thinking as you're talking, I'm thinking also how few of us, I believe, aren't really aware of our core values. So
Mm-hmm.
we often, and I can speak for myself because this has happened in the past, it's like I will take on other people's values and what other people think is important, right? And make that my own. Only then when everything unravels, I'm like, oh, wait a minute, I actually didn't really care about that.
Yeah.
But I did take that on for years and years, right?
Yeah.
So there's just like the simplest exercise of just sitting down and thinking about what's important to you. I didn't even know which values, I was so far out of self-awareness that couldn't even put words on values. So
Yeah.
I Googled value lists and then I was like, oh yeah, this is important. So just to say, like, it's not like I was always self-aware and awake. And no, I came from like just like everybody else.
Yeah.
I
We
came from way
all,
back there. And so it took a long while to actually know the things that I know today about myself, right? If that makes sense.
yeah, it does. The self-awareness. I'm still learning. I'm still learning.
Me
There's still
too.
things that I'm uncovering from my unconscious or that I've rejected from childhood, and I'm like, I still have dreams where I'm like, oh, that again? Like it's still in the back of my mind.
Yeah. What would be your advice? So I'm asking because when we were on vacation, like, I'll just give the personal example because I'm still thinking about it. So we had on the last day, we had an indoor pool at that specific hotel, and the water was cold, like so cold. I hate being cold. I didn't want to go in the pool, but like my kids and my husband were in the pool and they were like,
Oh.
you know, the kids were like, come, mommy, come play. I really didn't want to. But I knew that that was like the last day and like they wanted to play, so like they needed me. They don't know how to swim yet, right? So they needed me to catch them in their whatever. And then in the end, after like 40 minutes of me sitting on the side, like the kids, they grabbed me, you know, and they really like brought me in the pool and to play.
Aw.
But like what happened, like I had tears in my eyes. So I was so uncomfortable that tears came through. And I still don't know exactly why. But I do recognize this feeling though. I know
Mhm.
this feeling from, you know, it has happened many times in my life that I felt this way, but I still don't know exactly what that is. So, and I was trying to think like, you know, is it just because I didn't want to? But it feels like it's so much deeper, and I'm still trying to peel back the layers as to why I was feeling that way of just my kids asking me to play with them in the pool, right? It seems like such a silly situation or silly example. But I find, you know, from past experiences, the silliest things are actually the things that really kind of matter, right? And that go deep. So
Yeah.
anyway, what would be, say you know, I'm kind of stuck. So what would be your advice to get unstuck, to get to the root cause of something like that? Understanding yourself.
That's really great because obviously when we cry, it can be a conditioned response, or it can mean that we're touching base with a very deep part within ourself
Hmm.
on a soul level. And that kind of it opens up the heart to release those emotions. So there's different ways, and you have to really look at, like you said, you'd felt that way before. You have to look at what were those feelings that came up in that moment. Was it like a feeling of self-betrayal, like I'm doing this just for them?
Hmm.
Because then that is, I want to say, almost like that is, you were releasing energy then. So you were like losing energy by doing something you didn't really want to do.
Hmm.
Or was it kind of this like relief of, oh, it's not so bad, and I can't believe I would have missed this moment with them? Like, so what
Hmm.
did you feel when you finally did go in the water? Was it still kind of like, I'm self-sacrificing again? Was it like that?
I think it was a little bit of both. And with the second one, like it's not so bad, also came shame of, you know, like
Yeah.
not actually just doing it. Like, why did
Yeah.
I wait 45
Yeah.
minutes to get in the water? So then I feel shame about that. But it's also something like, yes, self-betrayal because I didn't really want to do this. So again, I'm being forced to do something I don't want to do. And so there's all that. But you see, that's also, I guess, a good example of showing how layered things are.
Yeah. It
So it's
really is.
often not just a one thing, like, oh yeah, it's because of this. Now I know and now I can move on. It's no, it's there's so many layers to it that, you know, have accumulated for, you know, this lifetime and many others, right? So
Yeah.
that's why I think also inner work is tricky
Mhm.
and requires courage.
Oh yeah,
Because if
because
you're
you're
gonna go
facing
deep,
your fears.
yeah.
Yeah, it takes massive courage because it is easier to turn the cheek, to look the other way, to just continue to go along with society and not have, any attention put on you because you're different. It's so easy to go mainstream. It takes so much strength and courage to even step out of that frequency of the norm. And then when you do, it takes even more courage to stay committed, right?
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
really so. I'd like to mention the emotions that came up, like that guilt and shame, is massive with parenting.
It
We
is.
constantly face that. Are we doing things right? Are we doing things for the best interest of our child, for our best interest? Are we not self-sacrificing. You know, are we still taking care of ourselves? And if we do take care of ourselves, we feel guilty of doing that. So that's a huge, I want to say, collective parenting consciousness.
Yeah.
So when you step into that role or identity of I'm acting like the mom now, it can be a conditioned state of response. And anything, my golden rule is anything that takes you away from complete ecstasy, bliss, and peace is an entity. It is not you. So you were feeling now, whether that circumstance came up so you could see that reflection within yourself, that there is still guilt, there is still shame, there is still stuff there, you know, residual that needed to show its awareness to you so that you could heal it. And healing it would be, again, being curious, going deeper. Where do these emotions come from? Maybe going into a past life regression, going into a meditation where you look at your inner child and child work. So there's multiple ways of addressing where that core guilt and shame. It could be guilt and shame from your mother or her mother's mother. It could be generational guilt and shame. And then every time you are questioned by your family, it triggers, you know? And so it could be, again, within your energy field. And as long as it's there and it's not released, you're going to keep getting reflections in your physical daily life that bring that out.
Right.
Once you address that more and more, or you don't react to it, or you can see it from a different perspective and it doesn't control you, it'll lessen and lessen. And then guess what? You will be less, your children will not, I guess, ask you to self-sacrifice as much. It just won't even be in your energy field. So then remember we talked previous where, you know, when we heal ourselves, it reflects onto others. So when something isn't there for them to, like the button's not there for them to push, it won't be a problem. You could have easily been like, you know, it's not like I feel bad not going in the water because you can't play the way you want without me. Look at it from the perspective of, this, I have faith in you. You rock. And you don't need me to go in the water for you to still have a good time. You know, it's like I'm allowing you to be your whole self. I'm allowing you to be stronger, and I'm allowing you to do it on your own because I have fucking faith and trust, and damn it, you're awesome. So it's a whole perspective shape, right? But we want to see people as wounded. We're conditioned to see people as they need me. And that's a part of, then it plays on our conditioning, right? It plays on our triggers. And then we are sweeping in to the autonomic control system, which is why I think why you felt that deep, those tears, that deep treachery, inner self treachery. And then on the littlest scale, but it was because it was wanting to bring that up for healing. So that's a great example of reflection work or shadow work and being able to transmute it. And just by changing your perspective on it. So stop seeing them as needing you. See them as strong. And it's hard because, you know, we're not taught to see others as strong, but doing that will actually heal them as well.
Yeah. Thank you so much for that. That's true. And you know, it's funny because like a few things came up even the next day and I'm like, I'm so tired. Like not another episode of shadow work.
Yeah.
You know, it's like, oh, please, you know, it's one of those things where it's like, you know, it takes you so much like energy to go through that. And so it's like, oh, like not again. Yeah. You know, but I mean, I know it's part of it, right? It's part of the journey and it will never end. But it's like, oh, okay. Like, here we go again. I'm so tired of doing this. You know?
Honestly, it does get easier,
Yeah.
but then it's weird. We have these, you know, I think we have these pivotal moments where we're really ready to step into the next, like another dimension or another phase of consciousness. And it is kind of like breaking the egg, like the chicken and we're like cracking the egg, it does like get really intense and even more extreme emotional at that breaking through point. And it, and it does feel like a lot of pressure, like you're being
Mhm.
pressurized, but it's really because you're just ready to burst open, right? You're ready to like,
Right.
it's an ego death, basically. There's always waves, there's
I
the
was gonna
times where
say
we
that.
rest. Yeah, we can rest. We aren't triggered. We're in a calm space. Just use that to strengthen up and get grounded in your core values and who you truly are. Because guess what? The wave's going to come back up. We're going to need to crack the egg. We need to go through,
Mhm.
And so right now you're just probably at a really pivotal moment of ascending and up leveling because these are all just coming in really heavy for that liberation, right?
Right. I was just going to say exactly that. And I don't know if it has anything to do with, the energies, the cosmic energies that you spoke about in the beginning, but it's always cyclical. So there are like days or, a full week where it's like trigger after trigger, shadow unraveled after
You feel
the
depleted,
other, and
right?
then rest. And then it's like, whew, okay, everything is all right. And then boom, 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 boom,
Yeah.
back to back, shit happens. Like, oh, come on. It
Yeah.
can't be just like one, like that, No,
No,
it
we're
feels like an
always
initiation
growing.
always.
Yeah, we're
And
always
it's like this.
growing. If we stay, I mean, that's just like the law of motion. That's just one of the laws of this reality, is that the only constant is change, and
Right.
we're growing. And if we were to stay stagnant, and especially stagnant in lower energies or just stagnant wherever we are, that's the end. That's true death
Yeah.
because there is no movement, there is no growth. And then honestly, when you're in those stagnant places, that's when you pick up more like energy vampirism or cords, or you get stuck in realities when you're stagnant, when you're not growing, when you're not shifting. I almost want to say the part that gets the easiest or where it gets easy is when you learn the phase and cycle of the transmutation and alchemization and constantly are in that space of movement. When your torrid field is constantly moving and your energy is constantly moving, and you can maintain a higher state of like a higher vibrational state, then things just ping off you. Like it does become easy, but you have to be at ease with the flow. You have to be at ease with the movement and the growth. So you
Mm-hmm.
imagine like almost a bullet, you know how fast it's moving and everything just pings off it, or it can
Mm-hmm.
move through walls. It moves through our physical body, physical matter because of how fast it is. Become like that bullet, right? Move at lightning speed with your energy. And then everything that is not the same vibration or equal vibration or better vibration, just it does fall away. It pings off.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't even affect you. And that's when you become impervious to the triggers and the also because you
Right.
can see behind the veil and you see what's going on and you see that it's a trauma drama or a trigger that that someone else has been carrying. You don't take it on for
Mm-hmm.
yourself. That's
Right.
too where we get hurt and we diminish our energy and we lose energy, is when we start taking on the karma of others, not letting them learn their own lessons, but we feel like we have to heal or help or save the world, and we start to accept their conditioning or beliefs or values or karma, so really
Mm-hmm.
have to stand in your own center is really that's really where the magic is, where you really move above the the game.
Yeah. And that's a very good point. And I assume that to get there to like that higher vibrational, state, there has been a lot of inner work in the background, right? So to get
You
there, it's
have
sort
to
of like, okay,
go.
a lot has to be processed within. And I'm also thinking about just the importance of this very small shift, which is to say, oh no, not again, to like, oh yeah,
Mm.
this like cool, this
Yes,
again, right?
yes,
like, oh, yay, another opportunity for growth.
Yes.
Yippee,
That's how
yay
you look
me,
at it.
right?
Yes.
Instead of,
Yes.
oh my God, I'm gonna die again.
Exactly.
Right. So there's that
Exactly.
too. We're just, I feel like, and it also translates that we were just talking about this, my husband and I, of just how little tolerance we have for challenges, right?
Yes.
So, imagine like you when you were a kid, you were learning to tie your shoes, and then your parent was like impatient and be like, "Oh, I'll just do it for you." Right?
Yeah.
And so then you kind of feel like shit, but also you just don't learn the difficult aspect of learning, right? Because
Mm-hmm.
when you're learning, it's hard because you don't know the thing yet. And so the process of learning is hard. And so the process of going through any challenge is therefore hard because you haven't built that tolerance within for the learning curve or for the challenging times. And so, in the same way, I don't believe that we're used to having tolerance for inner challenges either. Right. So it's kind of like, oh, this is coming up. All right. I have this emotion right now. Two choices. I'm either going to repress it. So,
Yeah.
right, put it back down. Never happened. Or
Yeah.
I could also be like, yeah, all right. I'm angry. Oh, yeah, I'm angry. Okay, bye. you know, or like secret option
Or
number
let it
three.
take you over.
Then,
Yeah.
right. So exactly, right? So it's either like you repress it, it's never happened, or like it consumes me and then I move on and I never look at it again. It's just do. Or, it's kind of like digging deeper. And that's the hard part. And that's the part we're not used to doing. And the discomfort that comes with the digging, we often just like, no, no, this is too hard.
Yeah.
Can somebody do this for me? Like, can I just
Yeah.
go
And
to a
that's,
therapist and they say what's wrong with me and I move on with my
yeah.
life? You
And
know?
that's the thing. Nobody will do the work for you, and nobody can do the work for you. And you're the only one with the power, and you're the only one that will, like, we're again so conditioned that somebody is going to save us, fairy tale happy ending. That's conditioning belief too that does not serve us. And it enables us to say, well, if there was really an issue, somebody else would
Yeah.
come and fix it for me, so
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah.
It's interesting because our topic today was sort of the unconscious and how the unconscious rules us. But I love the way we kind of twisted it to notice how the unconscious actually works against us in shadow work. So,
Yeah.
right, shadow work is an unconscious thing. Well, shadows are unconscious, but then our own unconscious sabotages
It
our shadow
does.
work. So it's like, oh my, like the layers are just
Really.
so deep and complex. But I love that we're
Yes.
talking about this today. It's such a fascinating topic, really.
Yeah. It's like, why? It's like people are like, well, why should I do the work? Why? Because your life's not going the way you want it. Because
Hmm.
you're self-sabotaging yourself at every corner. Because all of the obstacles and blocks and things, they are your own creation to help you awaken. And so it's going to keep coming. So if you say you hate it so much, then do something about it. Also, relationships. If you're not in a happy relationship, or your coworkers, or there's
Hmm.
people, coming around that you're attacking you all the time. It's your creation. It's your own making in your blueprint again, so you can see what's in your energy, so you can fix it. You can heal. And so it's going to keep happening. And you're right. Like, people are like, they don't know the value of going within and really knowing thyself, or the shadow work stuff. But to realize how uncomfortable our life is because of that unconsciousness is
Hmm.
so. I love how you a minute ago, I want to say a quote from Eckhart Tolle, because a minute ago you were like, yeah, why don't we work with we get excited to see the obstacles, or we're like, oh, yes, another opportunity. He says that exact same thing. It's like choosing the present moment and seeing it as if you have chosen it. You are
Right.
the creator of it. Changes your perspective from victimhood or victim mentality to hero mentality. And that's the only shift you need to put yourself back in the seat of control, or back at the wheel. Even just learning how to do that shift is really all you need. Instead of saying, okay, why is this happening to me? Wait, stop the narrative and say, why did I choose this? What secret code? What message is
Mm.
behind this? And how can I use it to transmute, to be whole, to heal, or to like upgrade from that experience? Because then when you do that, then yeah, you don't have that obstacle. You don't, when you truly do the work, those obstacles won't come anymore. You did heal and transmute the obstacle at a core level. And that's truly what we want. If you truly, truly want to stop being like victimized or have these horrible things happen or wondering why you're not making enough money, when the opportunity comes, you face it, you heal it. And
Yeah.
then you won't be in that place of, again, being victimized by your reality, which is really you yourself victimizing yourself from your perspectives. Why? Because you're not willing to look at the truth. The truth will set you free.
Mm-hmm.
Truly.